Deepen Your Presence training is working on a similar way of connecting with oneself using different tools. Here we do a huge amount of meditation, silence, energy work, and work with elements, 5 elements, to create that connection with ourselves. And once we are connected as deeply as we can to ourselves, we then start vertically extending that connection to what I call God. You can call it whatever you want, it's not a religious thing. Just raising the frequency of my perception and surrendering this ego mind called Dhyan Matuka to God, to higher mind, to the great I am, to whatever you want to call it, your God, your highest perception of what that may be, the creator. And the reason I do it is we're not alone. You know, we come from there and we return there, and they're there. I mean, the team, the helpers, the energies, it's fascinating amazingness of stuff. If I can surrender myself to it and then connect with the client in a session, suddenly my client and I are not alone. Both of us invite a possibility of magic and mysticism to happen, to occur. And there is a vastly greater intelligence residing up there than it is in my head or in my being, in my body. I'm nothing. Dhyan Matuka is a tiny little crystallized fraction of actual Dhyan. So if I can surrender myself to my higher self and then approach my client, I have a much better chance of being a successful session giver. And the session can take direction that I, as Dhyan Matuka, couldn't possibly even fathom to think about, let alone actually do. So the most successful sessions in working with people is when I am not present, when I just surrender. Relax, surrender. Obviously there is a lot of processes that I need to go through in order to do that effectively, but simply saying, I let go of myself and I invite the great I am to come through, and then approach life from that perspective. So Deepen Your Presence is a training where we spend days and days and days, first of all, connecting to ourselves as deeply as we can, letting go of ourselves and inviting the great I am to come through. Essentially surrender work, surrendering the ego, surrendering I know better, I've been trained, you know, I'm 56, you're 20, I know better, blah blah blah. Surrendering all that to the mystery of life, to the mystery of the great I am. And the deeper I can do that with a honest, heartfelt intent, humbleness, humble intent, the deeper I can actually channel that into my client, and not channel that into, but be present with my client. This is why it's called Deepen Your Presence, because my presence deepens through that process of surrender. And so when I connect with my client, I'm infinitely more connected, useful as a session giver than if I operate and work from Mr. Dhyan Matuka, know-it-all ego guy, you know, with all the knowledge, this big. The I am, this big.